Howdy, and welcome to the Amazon Deforestation Podcast.
Hey, my name is Chloe Howard. I'm majoring in biomedical science and I'm a part of the class of 2023. In this podcast, I will be talking about if climate change is purely natural and how scientific evidence plays into environmental policies and perspectives.
Howdy, my name is Corey Rosenbaum. I'm a construction science major from the class of 2022. And today I'm going to be talking about the main stakeholders' perspectives as well as any bias found during our research.
Hi, my name is Lindsay Riddle. I'm a communications major, the class of 2022. Today in my podcast, I'll be talking about some of the different ways that people view the topic of deforestation in the Amazon and how power and authority affects environmental change.
Howdy, my name is Mark Solis, an engineering major from the class of 2023, and I will be talking about how environmental change affects people, communities, and governments.
And I'm Jonathan Pacina, a global arts and planning design major from the class of 2022, and will also be the narrator for this podcast. And in our podcast, we'll be discussing how deforestation of the Amazon affects our society, as well as how power and authority influences different aspects of it. To start, what are some different viewpoints of this topic, and how does power affect environmental change?
The Amazon, being the largest rainforest in the world, presents a major contribution to our world's carbon levels as well as oxygen levels. It is also the most biodiverse area on Earth. Deforestation of this area not only will alter the carbon and oxygen levels, but also the temperature of the planet. Some people might say that a halt on deforestation of the Amazon will destroy the mining and logging businesses, but the long-term effect of deforestation is much greater than altering these businesses. For years, there has been discussion over how power and authority affects change in our environment. We as a society can start to raise awareness in this issue of deforestation. If there are enough people who are striving for the same environmental actions, there will be more power.
Thank you, Lindsay. And now a question for Chloe. In what ways is environmental change natural and or political? And what role does scientific evidence play in controlling policy change and environmental perspectives?
Within the conversation of climate change, one of the most recurring questions is if climate change is purely due to natural causes or how much of it is due to natural causes. Nearly all climate scientists and researchers would argue that humans are the overwhelming cause of the long-term changes in the climate that our world is experiencing. Mark New, the director of African Climate and Development Initiative at the University of Cape Town, has been working on climate change detection and its causes for over 20 years. He claims that climate change is due to the combination of three factors. The first factor being internal variability in the climate system. This is when various components of the climate system change on their own and cause fluctuations in climatic conditions. A few of these components include temperature and rainfall. Instability in these factors of the environment are internally driven changes that can occur over decades or centuries, or can occur on shorter variations, such as El Nino, which changes the temperature of the water in the Pacific region every few years. According to New, the second factor of climate change is natural external causes, such as increases or decreases in volcanic activity or solar radiation. New explains that every 11 years or so, the sun's magnetic field completely flips and causes small fluctuations in global temperature, up to 0.2 of a degree, which may seem like a small change, but after tens to hundreds of millions of years, the changes add up and can cause prominent increase or decrease in temperature. Additionally, geological processes can drive changes in the climate because of the shifting of tectonic plates, which result in mountain building, volcanic eruptions, and other natural events. Lastly, New claims that the third factor is due to human influence. Land use change affects how much sunlight is absorbed on land surfaces and how much carbon dioxide and methane is absorbed and released by plant soils. So it is fair to claim that climate change is not purely natural, and a large percentage is due to human influence. Just as in any situation, when it comes to environmental policies and perspectives, scientific evidence is crucial to create a strong case behind the point someone is trying to prove, or the change they are trying to make. In other words, without scientific evidence, the policy or viewpoint would not get a lot of support because there would be no reliable data supporting it and backing it up. For example, recently, some Americans have been attempting to change the United States trading policies with China because of the amount of emissions they release during production. China's dependence on coal increased the country's carbon emissions by more than 50% since 2000. Without the support of scientific evidence showing exactly how detrimental or harmful these activities are to our planet's environment, movements like this would not get very far or be completely understood and taken seriously. Another example is California attempting to create a production law in which all vehicles made in and coming into the state have to have a certain amount of miles per gallon and meet certain fuel economy standards in hopes to reduce the emissions and environmental impact caused by transportation. Scientific evidence plays a huge role in every perspective and policy and can convince people to be in favor or against an idea.
Now that we have seen how the environment has been affected by people, it is important to ask, how are people, communities, and governments affected by environmental change?
Thanks, Jonathan. People, communities, and even governments are affected by environmental change in many ways, such as in the safety of their health, their homes, and even food. An article written by Fred Pierce and published at the Yale School of Forestry and Environmental Studies states that as we continue to practice deforestation on the Amazon rainforest, we are seeing an increase of temperatures, dry seasons, and the decrease of the water cycle. The man behind this science is Michael T. Coe, a renowned earth scientist who has been studying the effects of deforestation for over 50 years. Coe claims that we are already seeing the effects taking place with local temperatures rising and the dry season lasting longer than ever. As the forest decreases in size, there is not enough trees to continue the water cycle, where the transpiration stage releases water back into the air to cool and to form precipitation. Due to deforestation happening, a difference of 5 degrees Celsius within the air between the forest reserve and the local town of Tangaroo has seen an increase of the dry season that has lasted 4 weeks longer. This has affected the people and the community of that town, as they are struggling to continue their agriculture, as this is seen as their primary source of food. With the continuation of deforestation of the Amazon, many other communities can face the same crisis that the people of Tangaroo are now facing. Moving forward, a report from The Lancet, the world's largest medical peer-reviewed journal, states that with the continuation of deforestation of the Amazon could be critical to people's health and the economy. With the increasing rise of temperatures, everyday people are experiencing more heat waves and also being less productive in terms of labor. With this brings room for more spread of diseases such as waterborne and vector-borne viruses that include malaria, dengue fever, and cholera. A result of deforestation has seen high-risk areas rise in transmission of diseases. In 2016, there was a 27.6% increase in the spread of malaria in sub-Saharan Africa, which in part, with the spread of an illness, can overwhelm the local government's health system. This has been witnessed in China with the recent spread of COVID-19 and can only be detrimental to society. Continuing onward, with the labor productivity down and the rise of extreme weather becoming more frequent due to the rising temperatures, many governments' economies are affected. The report from The Lancet also provides that with labor laws and extreme weather, the U.S. economy lost 153 billion hours of labor and $326 billion due to the increase of extreme weather. Although the U.S. can take the impact of the losses, a country such as Brazil will more than likely be strained to even recover from the damages that may result from the extreme weather event. An example can be seen from Haiti, who as a country has not yet fully recovered from deforestation and many other natural disasters that has left their government critically impacted. With Brazil, deforestation should be seen as a threat to the government and to their people, as the Amazon provides many useful resources such as food, agriculture, and source of transportation through the Amazon River. With many precautions and regulations being taken in order to help preserve the Amazon, society should practice reforestation to help eradicate the practice of deforestation.
We'll be taking a break from the podcast and come back with a conversation with Coy about stakeholders on the topic. Welcome back to the Amazon Deforestation Podcast. And here we will be having a conversation with Coy about the different perspectives the stakeholders have, as well as describing any biases that these same stakeholder groups or others may have in regard to scientific evidence.
The primary perspectives of the different stakeholders are pretty simple. Those who want to continue tearing down the Amazon and those who want to put a stop to it. The different types of stakeholders who want to continue with deforestation are logging companies, cattle ranchers, and even the Brazilian government. Logging companies want to continue their business as that is one of their only forms of income. In addition, cattle ranching is the leading cause of deforestation in the Amazon. Cattle ranchers need land for their cattle, so in turn they partner with soy farmers in order to get a hold of the best land possible for their cattle. In fact, the Amazon is home to over 50 million cattle, making up of around 80% of deforested land. Not only that, the Brazilian government has been using the land to build different highways, dams, and even communities. The president of Brazil, Jair Bolsonaro, claimed deforestation and fires will never end, and the destruction of the rainforest is a culture. This in turn leads to an increase in destruction in the Amazon. One of Bolsonaro's main campaign points was to reopen the Amazon for agriculture and mining usage. Now on to the perspectives that want to put a stop to deforestation. Some of the different stakeholders are coalition organizations such as Amazon Watch and the Rainforest Action Network. In addition, many indigenous people are in danger of losing their only known home. Amazon Watch is a nonprofit organization that partners with indigenous and environmental organizations and campaign for human rights, corporate accountability, and the preservation of the Amazon ecological systems. The Rainforest Action Network preserves forests, protects the climate, and upholds human rights by challenging corporate power and systemic injustice through frontline partnerships and strategic campaigns. However, some indigenous people approach this problem a different way. These people have resorted to using bows and arrows, GPS trackers, and even camera traps to try to put a halt to illegal logging. Speaking of indigenous people, the Caper tribe has one of the main biases we found. Due to the Amazon rainforest being the tribe's home, they want to protect it as much as possible. However, recently, illegal loggers have been encroaching their territory, and the government claimed they would set up security posts along the border of their territory, but have failed to do anything yet. This has caused them to take matters into their own hands. Like I said before, this tribe used force and intelligence to do their best at stopping illegal loggers. The main weapons used by the Caper tribe are bows and arrows and a borduna, a heavy sword shaped like a baton. However, they rely purely on numbers when confronting the loggers. In doing this, Tidwin Caper, the leader of the tribe, has to have his name changed in order to avoid being targeted by loggers. In fact, during confrontations, the tribe has set fire to many logging vehicles, destroying them. Another one of the group's leaders, Mira Caper, says the use of violence, which has resulted in some broken bones but no deaths among the loggers, is justified. The loggers come here to steal from us, so they deserve what they get. We have to make them feel our loss, the loss of our timber, the destruction of our forest. However, recently the loggers have been responding with lethal force. One of the tribe members was murdered by a gunman on his way back from visiting his brother. The loggers targeted him because they believed he was the main leader of the tribe. Killing him would force the tribe to back down. However, that is not the case. The Caper tribe will do anything to protect their home, and they are not afraid. The Caper tribe are not only indigenous people suffering either. Last year, about 70 Indians were murdered in what most were believed to be over a land dispute. In the end, the tribes are just trying to protect their home and will do anything to accomplish that.
Throughout our research about the effects of deforestation in the Amazon, we learned many different things about how our topic works and affects environmental change. Even though our environment is suffering from deforestation in respect to our carbon and oxygen levels, there are many different groups that depend on deforestation, such as cattle ranchers, loggers, and miners. Overall, this process affects our society in a much bigger way than you think. We hope you enjoyed the podcast and learned something new. Thank you for listening.